Well, good evening, everyone. It is time for our midweek break. You almost caught me unaware. Look, I'm not even wearing a tie tonight, right? That is what kind of day it is. And we're sliding in here for this late night coffee talk. I mean, just under the wire. It's been pretty ridiculous. Yours truly has had a very packed calendar. All right. Look, I don't have a tremendous amount of time tonight, so I do not expect any overtime. So, all of you that chastise me for going overtime, you will be in bed at a proper hour tonight while I'll be working still. Don't you feel bad? Nah, probably not, but it's okay. It's what I do. I'm kind of a night owl anyway. Uh, all right, look, folks. Welcome to the midweek interlude here, late night coffee talk. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist movement, and this is that opportunity I take once a week to take a step away from what I'm doing, grab a cup of coffee, and spend this time with you. We're going to talk about what's been going on the last week. Give a preview of the week ahead, things that are looming in our windshield. And of course, as always, take your questions, time permitting. You can look right there on the crawler on the bottom of the screen. You can email your questions in to coffeetalk@thnm.org. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And of course, Super Chat is active. But you can go over there if you're on either of the YouTube channels and chat, and we'll see your question. Also, if you're watching on any of the numerous places on Facebook where we're streaming, or Twitter, or our Roku channel, you guys know what to do over there. However, your questions only come to me via email or YouTube chat, or through your comments on Facebook. So if you're tweeting your tail ends off, I may not see it because I can't. If you saw how many tabs I already have open, it's really kind of ridiculous. So apologies, but you know where to go. You want to drop your question in there, feel free. And I suspect you may have quite a few. But before I get to any of that, let me do a couple of just shout outs really quickly. Number one, thank you to Mr. Earl Davis, our district director there in SD2, no, SD3. He's my district director, for sending me this wonderful thing. It says, TEXIT, we believe the best people to govern Texas are Texans. It's something we say all the time. And so, Earl, as I get ready to hit the road yet again, I'm going to put this to good use. So thank you very much. I also want to give a very special thanks to every one of you in leadership that came out on Saturday for our longtime friend, former field director, Don Tier's memorial service. Sana, who has worked right alongside him, still working on our member success team. She had enough space there for a certain number of people, and you guys turned up and got to meet Don's family, his friends from his civilian life, so to speak. And it was wonderful to be there with all of you to celebrate his life and to remember the impact that Don had on the TEXIT movement. It was really special to see all of you there, and so I want to thank you for that. And if you didn't make it, we understand. It's Texas is a big place, and it's kind of difficult. And some of you don't know Don. You didn't know him personally. But you are still feeling the impact of his work. Don was just a phenomenal individual, and just just a perfect example of what being a Texas nationalist who has crossed the line in the sand means. I said some things there. I'm not going to be repetitive here, but I do want to thank everyone for coming out, and it was great to see everyone. Including the folks there in Canton at the Dairy Palace, who we saw, I think, 3 times in about 36 hours or less, maybe 3 times in 12 hours by the time it was all over with. They learned rather quickly when we walked in the door, they needed to have the coffee ready. It's just the way it works. All right. Wow. There is a ton to unpack tonight. Lots of things have transpired since we were last together Wednesday night, and there are a lot of things getting ready to shake loose. We've got some movement. We'll talk about that tonight. We've got some movement on the TEXIT bill. You guys have been waiting on some news, and I was hoping to have it by Coffee Talk last week. I did not, but I have it now, and you get to hear it before we even mention it on the website. Additionally, the AG has come out and, in his own words, talked about our lawsuit against Facebook. And then, of course, tomorrow night is, boy howdy, it's going to be the rally against censorship in Conroe, and it is going to be a bit of a humdinger. So I've got some updates related to that. You're going to want to stay plugged in for that. And of course, as I can, I will get to your questions. So I tell you what, let's get started. Let's start with movement on the TEXIT bill, right? So if you will recall, on a few live streams back, a few weeks ago, I talked about the bill process, right? I acknowledge that some of you were getting antsy, but I also understood that you were getting antsy because you did not understand what that process looks like, right? And that is unfortunate. We've got a lot of folks still, based off the email that I get, that do not understand the process. They don't understand how the legislative process works. They don't understand there's a calendar, and just because the starting pistol was shot for the start of the legislative session doesn't mean anything substantive is getting done. That being said, just because it's not being publicly seen or publicly discussed, or articles being published about it, or things showing up on the calendar, doesn't mean there isn't work being done. Okay, so don't think because we don't drag out a bunch of tigers and make them jump through hoops that are on fire, and make sure that we call every single one of you and tell you exactly what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Don't assume that means things aren't happening, because things are. And so I received word last week from the staffer at Brian Slayton's office that they have finally gotten our bill out of Ledge Council, right? So what does that mean? What that means is the language, as we stated, was sent to the Legislative Council, that first step, and it is now back, and it can now be filed by whichever legislator chooses to do so. And of course, the follow-up question I am sure I'm going to get is, who is going to file our bill? Well, I will again reiterate our position. Once we secure someone to file the bill, you will not have to ask. We are not going to be in a position where we get the bill filed and then suddenly, it's going to be a surprise for everyone because you found out about it third hand from somebody who's got an account over on Texas Legislature Online. When it is done, you will know. You will not have to ask. Okay, so please, no emails, no questions about has the bill been filed. If it had been filed, you would not have to ask. And the fact of the matter is that we are probably going to need your help to deal with some of these legislators. As I said before, we have chosen, last session was playing really hard. This session is playing really smart. And the way that you think this is going down or will go down is probably not the way that it's going to go down at all. And the last thing we want to do in this scenario, given that there are definitely people in the legislature that are opposed to what we're doing, the last thing we want to do is give them any opportunity to derail this before it is solidly filed, until some legislator goes there and files the bill, and we have some support secured. And when I say secured, I mean locked in. I don't mean, oh yeah, you do whatever and we'll help. No, I mean locked in, ready to rock and roll. I'm going to tell you, speed will kill us on this one. Right? Just being hasty, being impatient, it'll scuttle it. So, I mean, the question is, do you want a TEXIT vote in 2023 or do you want one in 2025? What do you want? If you want one in 2023, you better play smart. If we had better choices of legislators, had the elections played differently, then maybe we wouldn't have to play coy and be so careful. But they didn't. TEXIT supporters may or may not have turned out to vote in the way that we needed them to. We'll never know. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is the situation is what we have got. It sounds like I just lost a case on Judge Judy. It is what it is, right? Sometimes you don't get the opportunity to have the most ideal battle conditions, but you still have to fight, and that's what we're doing. And so, when the only thing I can tell you is that when we ask you to do something, it's for a reason, and it's generally a very important reason. We're not into, if people remember on the old David Letterman show, Late Night with David Letterman, he had stupid human tricks. We're not into that. That's not what we do. We're not asking people to go through the motions just to go through the motions. If we're asking you to do something, there is a very, very important reason, and we don't have time to answer why to 400 and some odd thousand people. We just need your help. Right? We can't get into specifics sometimes, but if we ask you to move, it's pretty doggone important. So that said, that's great news, right? I mean, we finally got it out of Ledge Council, which, and I don't know this for a fact, but the fact that it took so long to get spit out of Ledge Council kind of makes you wonder if someone was looking for some reasons for it to not make it out of Ledge Council. I'm just saying. Or to substantially change the bill. Literally, the draft you can download off the website right now is what they spit out. There were literally no changes whatsoever to the legislation. So, they went over it with a fine-tooth comb. Wasn't hard. It's virtually the same as we filed last session with 2 minor changes. Well, 1 minor change and 1 major change, which is the question that will be on the ballot when it passes. So it's all there. Look, if you don't have your copy of the bill, you can go to the website right now. If you open up the browser, go to our website, there'll be an opportunity for you to enter in your email address. Submit that, and we will email you a copy of the draft legislation. We will email you a couple of really important guides. One is a kind of a one-sheet cheat sheet on the bill process, and the other is a handy guide on how to effectively advocate for the Texas independence referendum. So head over there right now, knock that out. And in addition, if you've already got an account on the website, you can go to Action and to downloads on the menu, and you will see it there. You can download a copy of the bill there. So boom shakalaka, great news. And actually that's going to get me to my first question, which came in via email. So let me bring that up, because this actually came in before the show. Somebody got real quick. All right. So Chris Milton, you guys know Chris. Chris wants to know, he says, we're in the 3rd week of the 88th legislature. Is calling and writing each week the right amount of contact with my senator or representative? At what point should I move that to daily? I think it really depends on really and truly what kind of response you're getting, right? Are you initiating? Are you having the legitimate conversations? Are you able to have? Let me start over. If you are just calling and saying, I want to vote on TEXIT, right? You can't do that enough, right? But having your ultimate goal here is not just registering your support for it. It's to develop a relationship with to talk to their chief of staff or talk to their staffers, help them understand why this issue is so important to you. It's one of the reasons that I encourage people to watch the legislative action workshop, and specifically the session that Don Tier did about learning how to tell your story. You can call all day long and say, I want this thing supported. But unless you begin to develop advocates or allies in that office, it's just one more Post-it note on the desk, right? So, I would encourage you, look, keep up that pace, but you want to be developing those relationships. You want to get to know the staffers. You want to begin to have those conversations. You want to begin to ask questions. Has the representative, has the senator reviewed the bill, the draft legislation? What are their thoughts? What are their questions? I'd like for you to understand why this is so important to me and why it's important to other people in your district. That's the sort of conversations that really get by. Otherwise, you might as well just go drop a flyer off, because they have pretty much the same effect, right? So you want those conversations and those relationships to develop, and you want them to go somewhere. You want to help them understand what it is you're talking about. I have learned, really last session brought it to a point, but it's even serious this session, is that too many of these legislators are so disconnected from these sorts of issues that when you call up and say, I want to vote on TEXIT, they don't know what that means. I had a conversation with a legislator recently where I had to explain, probably from square one, right? I mean, just literally just from the jump. They didn't get it at all. They just did not understand. So I mean, I and they should, allegedly last session they were one of the legislators that got a lot of calls from our supporters. But what that means is that the gatekeepers were kind of standing between the people and the representatives. So, you can't take for granted that they understand any of this. One of our potential legislative allies in the Senate, I had to have a conversation with him and explain the bill. Right? I mean, he had been sent the bill multiple times. We had many conversations about it, and during one of those conversations, I realized. I mean, it was like this bolt from the blue, a realization that he didn't understand what the legislation actually did. There are so many of these people that believe that this bill is a break. Like, if they file this bill and it passes, we're out of the union. That's not how it works. They don't understand, many of them, that merely all this does is it puts the question to the people of Texas to answer. Should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? So, many of them don't understand that. They don't understand what the implications of that are. They don't understand the latitude they have. They think it's, a legislative Fort Sumter. And so you've got to be the one to educate them. But if all you're doing is calling every day and saying, I am a constituent and I want to vote on TEXIT, well, that's great. I mean, that's good. But it's not going to get you where you want to go. Not by itself. Does that need to happen? Yes. And it needs to happen in mass numbers. These guys, you need to have 1,000 people call in that district to call that office and say that. But if they don't have a context and they don't understand and they haven't been sort of briefed on the issue by someone who's willing to take the time and kind of guide them through it, it can be us, but it's a lot better when it comes from a constituent, someone who can actually vote for them, that represents a community of concern within their district. They take it better. It's just the way that it is. All right. Chris, so thanks for that question. All right. Let's see if we got anything over here in the old chat related to that. And if so, I'll see what we can take from that. See, I'm rocking multiple windows tonight, folks, because otherwise I'm not going to keep up with it. Joy says you have a Roku channel. Yes, we do. We have a Roku app. So if you go fire up your Roku and search for Texas Nationalist Movement, you'll find TNM TV, and there it is. And if I remember correctly, I think I'm going to be seeing Joy and Brian here pretty soon, heading up that way. Okay. Yep. So Keith says, good evening, Daniel and fellow Texians. Forgive me since I don't know the process. In addition to my House rep, should I also call my state senator too on the Texas bill? Absolutely. Call both your state rep and your state senator. It doesn't matter who it is. And I know some of you live in districts and you don't think that person's going to be particularly favorable. It doesn't matter. Make the call. Call your state senator, call your state rep. Let them know all those things I said when I answered Chris's question a moment ago apply. We have got leaders in the TNM, local leadership that have Democrat reps that have gone and had sit down meetings to talk about this. So you can have the conversation whether they support the issue of TEXIT or not, whether they support the motivations, and I believe there is rationale there for everyone to support a TEXIT vote. But whether they support it or not, at a minimum, they should support the right of their constituents to vote on the issue, no matter how it goes. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into a couple of other things. Let's move on from that. So that's where it is. Oh, and I'm going to encourage you to do something too. We have launched a revamp of a section on the website to help you connect with your legislators, and there is more to come. You can go to this website here. It's tnm.me/legislature. If you have a login to the site, you can go in there and it'll be under your action tab. But that being said, I'm going to show you what it looks like because we have made it available, although it is not linked on the menu yet. You guys are getting a nice sneak peek of this. I'm going to share this with you really quickly. I should have had this teed up before we started, but I didn't. So, what do you do? Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I should have had this ready to rock and roll, but I didn't. Boom. There it is. Okay. So let me take this off the screen. If you go to that link, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see this right here. Let me bring that up full screen for you. Boom, there it is. So if you go to that link for your legislators and you're logged in, we will have, and you provided your address, we will have already mapped you to both your Senate district and your House district, right? So we're going to show you your state senator, your state rep, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. You'll have access to contact information for the governor and the lieutenant governor as well. Additionally, you can always check out what the status is for the Texas Independence Referendum Act. This will update live. So when it is filed, you will see that go green, and it will keep you up to date on what the status is at all times. Additionally, you can download the bill if you'd like a PDF copy to distribute to other people, but especially your legislators. You can do that. And additionally, we have a sample letter for your legislators and a sample letter to the editor of your local newspaper. Those are both Google documents. You can take them, copy the text from them, and put it in your own. You can copy and paste it anywhere you want to, and it's a sample. So you can edit it however you would like to do with it as you please. But I'm going to show you here. So here's my state senator, Robert Nichols. I can click on there and view his full profile. For all of these, you're going to see these status bars, and it says that he's neutral. What that means is that we do not have official confirmation on his position on the Texas Independence Referendum Act. And of course, when that is filed, you will find you'll be able to see who the author is, the joint authors, co-authors, whether they are leaning toward yes, or if they're opposed, whatever it is. But additionally, you have the mailing address for them. You have their address at the Capitol, including their office number if you want to go visit, and a phone number. If you're viewing this page on mobile, you'll actually see call buttons there, so you can immediately call your state senator and your state rep. Plus, you'll find a list of all their district offices. More importantly, and this is super helpful for us as well, when you have an interaction with your legislator, we have a place where you can report that interaction, right? And what this does is that it helps us keep them from telling different stories to different people. So you have an opportunity, if you had a personal visit with them, a phone conversation, if you received a letter or received an email. And I think it's very important to differentiate. Receiving a letter and sending a letter are two different things. We don't want to know when you send them a letter, right? Because what is most important for the interaction is what you're getting back from them. So if you received a letter back or you received an email back, you can file that interaction right there, and it will show up, and you can see all the interactions that any of our folks have had with these legislators. Additionally, if we have any news related to those legislators, you will see it here. And then, of course, if you would like to have a discussion with other constituents about this particular legislator, you can do that. You can drop your comments in here and have conversations with people who are also in that legislator's district. But of course, you have social media links, and including a click to tweet on all of them. Every one of them that has a Twitter account, you have a Twitter account, you can click that button, and it will essentially tweet a message at them, urging them to support the Texas Independence Referendum Act. So it is a really handy tool that you'll have access to, and we're expanding it. There's some phenomenal enhancements that are getting ready to be made to it. Had a conversation about that today, so just be prepared. It's going to be a lot of fun where that's concerned. All right, let us move on to the next topic tonight, which is the next big thing is, we announced last week that the Attorney General's office here in Texas was filing an amicus brief in our case against Facebook, TNM versus Meta, over the social media censorship thing. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to the news section on the TNM website, read through the articles. But long story short, we're suing Facebook for censoring you and for censoring us under the Texas law that was passed last session, HB 20, which is the anti-social media censorship law. And, we're pivoting the case. They made an opening for us to essentially relitigate Texas versus White, and we're happy to do that. We're ready to go put a stake through its heart. But on the portion of the lawsuit dealing specifically with HB 20 and the state's right to regulate Facebook as a common carrier, and tell them that they can't engage in viewpoint discrimination. We have had the Attorney General's office jump in, and it's funny because when we put out that release last week and started talking about it, people thought we literally got accused of lying about it. I mean, it never fails, right? There's always going to be somebody out there saying, even though it's a matter of public record. I mean, we put the link to the amicus brief in the article, but here it is. So you had Attorney General Ken Paxton go on the Jenna Ellis radio show. I guess it was yesterday, and this is what he had to say.
Absolutely.
This was actually a case where the Texas National Movement, who I know very little about, was arguing that their followers and they were being banned from posting certain comments, which we believe is a violation of our new law, HB House Bill 20, which was designed to protect against censorship of any views, conservative or liberal. And in this case, we're arguing, because we're still in litigation over this, we're at the U.S. Supreme Court asking them, well, actually, we wanted the Fifth Circuit. The other side is asking, the social media companies are asking that obviously that HB 20 not be enforced. So we're at the Supreme Court level on that. So we can't enforce it as a state right now, but individuals can enforce that law. And we are arguing in this case, hey, look, we can't enforce until we get done with our litigation. However, the courts have said that individuals can enforce that. And so we're supporting this group's ability to say, we want our free speech.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. I think so many conservatives are very frustrated by the one-sided enforcement of these big tech platforms that censor only conservative viewpoints and need to be held accountable. And so where do you expect this to go, assuming that HB 20 can be enforced? How will that really change how users in the state of Texas experience censorship or not from big tech?
Well, one of the arguments has been these big companies, they're companies, and they're not subject to First Amendment arguments. However, because we have a couple of things going on. One is we have the government interfering with that and working with Facebook and other companies to try to stop certain viewpoints, because we know the FBI did that as it related to Hunter Biden, as it's related to COVID issues, and it's related to other issues. And so we know that the government is doing things that are clearly violating the First Amendment, but we also know that these are oftentimes monopolies, where if you don't have access to speaking what your personal viewpoints are on whatever, religious views, political views on anything, then we would be losing our ability to exercise our First Amendment rights. Pretty important, because obviously the founders listed it as the First Amendment, thinking it fundamental to a free society.
Yeah, so there it is in his own words. Why they're filing in it, and why they filed the amicus, and frankly why they are wishing us success. And so now that Meta has wrapped up some of these, the Texas versus White issue and the constitutionality of having a TEXIT voter withdrawing from the union, they've wrapped it up in there. It's a battle royale. It's going to be one for the history books, folks. So it's going to be, there's his words. So now, not only do we have the amicus, not only do we have the Attorney General's office itself saying that they're in it, now you have the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, on the radio, living flesh, talking about this suit and how important it is to see our success in this suit. So, look, we're glad. We're glad they filed on this suit. We're glad that they're at least coming in via that amicus brief. And we're going to continue to fight it. And for those folks that are out there saying that somehow this is just, that this is a distraction, understand that if we were not fighting this now, we would be fighting it down the road, when we need to be concentrating more on connecting with Texas voters, which frankly is what we should be doing right now, all of us, right? Yeah, we need to be hitting up our legislators, but if we're not having the conversations and reaching out to Texas voters and growing the movement, then it's going to take a long time. And I don't want it to. I want to win. I want to have a TEXIT vote in 2023. I want to slam dunk it. And then I want to get on with getting TEXIT done. And I want to go on vacation. I want to win so I can go do other things with my life. Not that I don't enjoy hanging out with you guys. But, I want to win this. I want to win this in the absolute worst way possible. I want to win. I want to win not for me. I want to win for you. Yeah, I want to win for me. I do, I guess. I do want to win for me because I've been at this a very long time and I don't like things unfinished. I like to finish things. So let's go win, right? And let's just say that let Meta be the last big corporate conglomerate that gets between. Well, let's just say they get on the last ones that get on the tracks in front of the TEXIT train, right? Let's do to them in this case so much damage that it serves as a warning to the next 10 generations that standing between the people of Texas and their right of self-determination is about the worst choice that you could make in life. So there you go. All right, let's take oh gosh. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, so man, you guys got some great questions. All right. There was, I thought I saw a lawsuit question. Oh yeah, it came in via email. That's right. My bad, guys. Okay, this question is from Eric. Eric asks, he says, with the evolving investigations into Google's censorship of conservatives, is there a possibility of our organization being censored or even deplatformed? And has a plan B been considered? I don't even, I don't know that I really understand. I understand the question, right? We know that Google has come under accusation of suppressing conservative viewpoints. It was actually proven that they throw more conservative emails into spam folders than they do from liberal or progressive conservative advocacy organizations. We know that. And we know that Google runs YouTube, which I think by the definition of HB 20 qualifies it as a social media platform. So I fully expect, while our suit was against Meta, because Meta did something very concrete to us in October, I suspect probably the next batch of lawsuits that are filed, the next probably big one will probably be against Google, and specifically dealing with what they do on YouTube. So, but who knows? I mean, there may be some more information that comes out via the Twitter files or as a result of discovery in our lawsuit against Meta that may indicate that Google is definitely a hostile player. But that being said, I don't have any concerns about us being deplatformed. I mean, they could censor us, but how do they censor us? Well, they lower us in search rankings. That's the search engine component of it. And there's not really a whole lot you can do about that. They could do something to us on YouTube. For that, we would probably fall back on HB 20. And then if you're talking about any of our technology infrastructure, I'm not concerned about that. So, but your question about has a plan B been considered? Absolutely. Just so you understand, plan B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through the alphabet and probably doubled up. I mean, plans within plans within plans. So yes. All right. So let's get down to it, to the final part of this, and then I'll take whatever questions are remaining. Okay. So tomorrow night, wow. What a thing this rally against censorship has turned out to be. If you do not know what's going on with that, go back and watch the live stream from last week, where I talk extensively about what's going on for the rally against censorship. However, if you want to hear what's going on, here's the radio ads that the host of the event has started running.
Rally Against Censorship is coming to the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe, Thursday, January 26, 6 p.m. Guest speakers include Texas Nationalist Movement President Daniel Miller, Defiance Press publisher and speaker David Thomas Roberts, and many others, with special guest Kyle Rittenhouse. Free general admission, registration is required. VIP tickets also available. Go to defiancepress.com. Rally Against Censorship at the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe, January 26. Rally Against Censorship will not be canceled.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, tomorrow night I will be speaking at an event in Conroe called the Rally Against Censorship. Like if that radio ad did not make it clear enough, I'll be there at the Rally Against Censorship, and it is going to be a good time had by all. It will be at the Lone Star Convention Center there in Conroe. It's actually, I think, at the Expo Hall. And it's going to be a packed out event. I suspect there will be probably 1,000 or more people there. That would be my guess. I don't know that for a fact, but I do have information that kind of leads me to believe that's the case. and it's turned into a really interesting event. I mean, this thing has blown up, with the obviously with Kyle Rittenhouse being one of the speakers at the event, and the fact that it was basically booted from 2 different venues before it landed there at the Montgomery County Expo Hall or wherever it is. It's garnered a tremendous amount of media attention, and of course, some of that has been typical of what the media is, but it's going to be a big deal. As a matter of fact, today, earlier in the day, I did an interview with the New York Times. Ostensibly, it was supposed to be about the rally, but it turned out to be an hour-long interview about TEXIT, which is a great thing. My understanding is you're going to see media outlets there from all over, Fox News, ABC News. You've got Epoch Times. You've got Economic War Room. You've got, I think, New York Times is going to be out there. So, I mean, it has turned into a thing. It is going to be a big thing. And so, with all of that going on, and of course, the chatter going on from the opposition, I think tomorrow night is going to be pretty doggone special. So if you have an opportunity to get out there and participate, I believe they're still doing tickets are free, right? But you can go to rallyagainstcensorship.com, or you can go to the Defiance Press website. There's a link to it there, and it'll say Rally Against Censorship. But go RSVP, get your tickets, and honestly, I think they're doing them at the door as well. But I would go ahead and secure your spot now if you have an opportunity to do so. I will say this going into tomorrow night. If anyone ever had any concerns about how this free speech issue plays into self-government, I would suggest to you that this event is ultimately proof positive that those rights are really tied together. Those rights are as tied together as you could possibly get, and they're close. And anyone who would deny you your right to speak, they don't have to listen to you, but in a public forum, they would rather us not say things. They want to intimidate because they can't win arguments, or they can't have they can't win a debate. Essentially, what they want to do is they want to intimidate, they want to harass, they want to generalize, they want to use these ridiculous, I can't even call them emotional arguments, because I think it's dishonest. I think a lot of what they do is dishonest. And the same type of people that are freaking out about this event are the same kind of people that freak out about the TEXIT event, or about TEXIT in general, not the TEXIT event, but TEXIT in general. You get ridiculous things, right? Like this right here. Foster, who says, just so everyone knows, Texas cannot exit the union. How many times has that been debunked? But Foster apparently doesn't know. And it shows. And I can imagine, and I'm not over there looking in chat, but I imagine that right now someone is probably over there trying their hardest to educate Foster on his folly, his fallacy, that Texas cannot exit the union. But understand that just like in this rally against censorship and the opposition that's coming out about it, and how their opposition shouts the same thing, they shout that Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer, or like Foster, Texas can't exit. They say these things with absolutely no basis whatsoever. Do we have a basis for what we talk about? Absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. We talk about TEXIT from the high ground, the intellectual high ground, the moral high ground. Where do they come at it from? Well, they make these tantrum-like pronouncements like some toddler. Texas can't exit the union. Well, really? Because that's not what we've seen. Sure it can. Remember, the words "it can't happen" are the epitaph of every failed prognosticator ever buried. I mean, it's just the way it is. it can't happen, really. Well, if you want something done, tell a Texan that it can't be done. Simple enough, right? All right. So, definitely would love to see all of you there. Any of you that can make it to the rally against censorship. If you cannot make it, I am going to be on the road, right? There's always tons of TNM events that are going on. But look, I'm going to be on the road. This starts the crazy time of the year where with the legislature in session, obviously I'll be in Austin plenty. But there are meetups going on all over the place right now. But if you'd like to see me on the 31st of January, you can go over here to the events page. Hang on, let me make that larger for all of you. You go over here to the events page. I'm going to be in Tyler at a special joint meetup between the TNM and Grassroots America, We the People. And it's going to be a packed out event as well. So we would invite you to go over there, make sure you RSVP. Then on the 2nd, I'm going to be speaking in Decatur to Wise County conservatives. And then there's tons of others. I mean, you'll be able to see them all on here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we're on the road, and we're on the road an awful lot. So head over to the events page at tnm.me, find an event near you, and get stuck in, right? Do what you got to do. All right, so let's get to some of your questions. John says, can you contact senators and reps in other districts, both of mine are Dems? Contact your reps. Request a sit down. You will be surprised when you call them up and say, look, I'm a constituent, and I want to talk to you about a piece of legislation. And they may be accommodating. Some of them may be freaked out, right? We had an interaction with a Democrat legislator many years ago, and he threatened to take up arms and shoot us down in the streets. And irrational, ridiculous. But I'm going to say that probably our people did not approach him in a friendly way. They probably approached him in a way that said, you will do this or else. And you can have that, right? When we did the webinar with Dr. Quartrup a few weeks back, he said that, at some point you have to make that clear, but that's not your starting point. Your starting point is, I'm a constituent, and let's have a conversation about something that's super important to me, and I would like for it to be important to you as well. That's where you start. Cheryl says, can't wait to see y'all in Conroe tomorrow night. Yes, a good time will be had by most. Okay, Roy says, how nice it would be to be free from all tyranny. Absolutely. One of the reasons we do what we do. Okay, YouTube viewing one says, what is the status of the investigation on election fraud? There was a news release that was put out today. We signed on to a coalition. Part of Senator Bob Hall has put together what is, I believe, probably one of the most comprehensive election reform packages that will deal with every single issue that we encountered in our election fraud investigation. So you could go read that news release, but there's a coalition called Texas First, which is absolutely fitting for us to be a part of that. And like I said, it is the most comprehensive election reform solution that will address every single solitary problem. So I would encourage you to go check that out. Sam Hostin Gaming, not that doesn't say Houston, it says Hostin. I did phonics when I was a kid. I know how to sound out words. So I have a question. What goes on at these TEXIT meetings? Well, it depends on what kind of TEXIT meetings you're talking about, right? If you're talking about meetups, there is a set format, but what you're going to be able to do at our meetups is connect with other TEXIT supporters locally. There you're going to kind of learn about what we've got going on at the time and get plugged in. All of our TEXIT meetups are supposed to be geared toward our outreach activities. And so you're going to go there, you're going to get plugged in, you're going to meet other people just like you or similar to you, not just like you, but at least you have agreement on the TEXIT issue. And if you get plugged in and want to be a part of the team, you're going to make some friends, probably for life. And then you're going to find opportunities at those meetups to go out and help advance the cause of Texas independence. So I would encourage everyone to go to a meetup. If you have not been to one, and there's one local to you, go get them. Go do it. Right? Go meet other Texas supporters. One of the things that we heard, so I'll tell you, about 3 or 4 years ago now, we surveyed the supporters, and we got a tremendous amount of feedback. And what we essentially did was we said, what do you want? Right? Out of the organization, beyond obviously the advocacy we do, what do you want from the organization proper? And there were some key things. One of the key things was they wanted community. They wanted to meet people that were like-minded. They wanted to meet other TEXIT supporters, and they wanted to be a part. They wanted to be a part of a community of people that were just as passionate about this issue as they were. They also wanted to do one of the other things that came about was they wanted to be able to do a much deeper dive and learn more about the TEXIT issue. And of course, it's one of the reasons that we launched our online research library on the website. And there was an indication that people wanted in-person meetups. They didn't want to be all virtual and all digital. So one of the reasons that we launched meetups and local groups was to scratch that itch. So folks, it's there for you. If you want to be a part of this, then I would suggest you start there. And I know in the digital age, it can be a little bit intimidating to actually see human beings, but go do it. It's definitely worthwhile. Okay. Dan says, will it ever be put on a ballot to let the people decide? Well, isn't that really what we're working on? Making that happen. Susan says, I talked to Murr. She's talking about Andy Murr, state representative. He's not an absolute no, just needs to understand it better. See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these guys need to. He was a lean yes last session. He was interviewed in the media, and it was made public that he said, look, I'm not opposed to it. But it was very clear that he needed to know more about it. And all that stuff I said before. Okay, Lee says, what about passports to go to Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana? Answered on the website. It's literally in the TEXIT book. It's on the website at texitnow.org. I would suggest going over there. And by the way, that reminds me, I got this little gem in from Tom Woods, who put this out. It's called National Divorce, a Peaceful Solution to Irreconcilable Differences. And in there, one of the chapters, and it's a rather small book, right? I think it's, let's see how many pages he's got. Just 80 pages, right? But a good chunk of that is actually taken up by a transcript. Yep, here it is, chapter 6. Boom, chapter 6, taken up with the transcript that I did when I was on Tom Wood's show. So, Tom, thank you not only for interviewing me, but for thinking that it was important enough to include in that book. Really do appreciate it. Oh, by the way, before I move on to these final questions, I actually recorded a podcast with Alan West today. So Colonel Alan West and I got to see each other after a while, right? It's been, I think the campaign trail was the last time we saw each other. And so we recorded an episode for his podcast, and that will drop next week. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. This question, can you comment on funding from outside of Texas that is working against TEXIT? And is TEXIT willing to receive PAC money outside Texas to further our fight for self-determination? Yeah, so this really gets into the question about what we feel is probably one of the most difficult things about our electoral system here, right? One of the things that is problematic, something that has been a legislative priority for us for several sessions now, and that is the impact that out-of-state money has on our elections. And so, there are a couple of ways to deal with that. There's actually a video on our YouTube channel where we talk about it. We talk about the impact of the money. And maybe we need to do kind of a special live stream about that. And we'll bring on some experts to talk about that and break it down into charts. But it's a significant problem. So there has been this debate. Obviously, many of you guys know we have our own PAC. We technically have two PACs. But we, the primary PAC, which is our what they call a G PAC here in Texas, is the TNM PAC. As a matter of fact, if you want to take a look at it, you can go to tnmpac.org or go to taketexasback.com. Both of those will get you where you need to go. But the PAC, there has been a healthy debate related to should we or should we not accept contributions to the PAC from outside of Texas. Now, obviously, anything outside of the United States is forbidden, right? You can't do foreign campaign contributions. And so, not that we would want to. But the debate has been, do we say, okay, we're going to set the example and we're not going to take it? Or, and in which case, we let the opposition operate at a serious advantage by, they would have the ability to take in scads of cash into their PAC from outside of Texas. And if we limited it to just Texas, it puts us at a disadvantage. Or do we say, okay, look, the most important thing here is to fight the fight and do everything possible to win the fight. And so, we'll obviously work to make sure that, we're obviously going to work to end the practice, but in the meantime, to be able to even compete and be on a level, even close to a level playing field, which that's not going to happen, but to even be in the fight, we still need to have that opportunity, right? And we reciprocate. Like literally 2 days ago, I made a contribution to the New Hampshire Independence PAC, right? Our counterparts over there. I made a contribution. In turn, their leader over there turned around and made a contribution to the TNM's PAC. So, this is kind of the way that I think it's got to work until we can level the playing field for everyone. So, look, that is always a strong debate from a strategic and tactical standpoint. Our PACs are going to have to continue to take contributions from outside of Texas. Again, obviously just from the United States, but to be able to even compete. So I think that's a really good one. But I would be interested to hear sort of y'all's take on it, to see what you think. If you think we're making the right decision or the wrong decision, I would be interested to hear your feedback on it. So thank you very much for that question. All right. Well, look, folks, that is going to be it for tonight. A reminder, again, tomorrow night, January 26th, we'll be at the Rally Against Censorship there in Conroe. I'll be there speaking, but we're going to have a whole TNM contingent out there, so come by the table and say hello. Also, a reminder, if you have not already pledged your support, you pledged your vote for TEXIT, go do that now. Head over to tnm.me/vote. That is tnm.me/vote. And you know what, folks? That, my friends, is going to be a wrap for tonight. I still got a ton of work to do, but I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to be here tonight, to have our conversation, to visit with one another. We're going to go out there and we're going to keep fighting this fight. Yeah, it's going to be tiring, but at the end of the day, it is going to be the most rewarding thing that we've ever done, because we're going to be the first generation to breathe independent air in Texas in a very long time. So if that doesn't excite you, nothing will. In the meantime, I will leave you with the words I leave you with every week. And of course, those words are not mine. They are the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.